I just realized life is all about risk. This is a story about how I took a risk with my fortune and future, and the result was, if I should say the least, devastating.
I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me, and what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be fucking sour, take a cold shower. Scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder. And all the doubters, they're just your downers.
I'm broke. That's just it.
Silhouettes of you are like a taunt. Never really know just what you want. With you I don't ever feel calm. I can feel the sweat inside my palms. Play with me like cats and a string. You don't understand the pain it brings. You don't ever wanna give me wings. You don't ever wanna set me free. You know I'm addicted to you, and it's twisted.
In this episode or chapter of this diary, I will be sharing with you a very important story about me. And after I graduated from university, life became very tough for me. For me and my family, due to my family background and where I was coming from, I was faced with a lot of experiences and situations that made me feel so very terrible about life and about myself. And those experiences and situations came at a point in my life where I never expected it. So there was something like an unforeseen experiences or circumstances coming along my path, trying to shake me off balance. One of the difficult situations or experiences I faced after graduating from the university was the decision or the pressure to go back home with nothing after graduating from the university. I fought the pressure and the temptation of going back home after graduating from the university, because to me, I felt I should have achieved a lot of things before now, or before then. I finally found myself at home where I never wanted to be. Let me say at this point that before now, I used to be somebody who loved staying in his comfort zone. Home was never going to be a comfort zone, a place I would love to stay to start my life. But at some point, I began to feel maybe this is the will of God, or maybe this is what God actually wants me to do, or where God wants me to start from. Definitely, home was never going to be a comfort zone for me. But I do not have any armor to resist this fierce battle. So I have no other option but to go back home. So I went back home to start my life again. With nothing, starting from the scratch, and that was just it. But then at some point, something happened while I was at home. An experience I never thought or felt would ever happen to me. After a while spending some time at home started becoming a better place where I derived joy, peace, and most especially inspiration. Being a creative and productive person who loves being in his head and hates being normal. I hate being normal. I always enjoy being in a place where where I derive inspiration, peace of mind, and comfort. A place that helps me to reinvent myself, reinvent my principles, and a place that helps me to grow, especially. I never thought home would be that place, but all of a sudden, home turned out to be the place. Yeah, home turned out to be a place of inspiration where I was getting so many ideas and things about personal growth and development. So after a while, I began to get inspiration and ideas, a lot of inspirations and ideas about life. And I started getting a lot of new lessons about growth, development, and becoming a better person. Like so many inspirations and ideas were coming and resonating while I was at home. I learned a whole new stuff about life, growth, development, and becoming a better person while I was at home. This was something I never expected would happen to me at home. Yeah, being a creative person I am, who loves who loves reinventing himself, I see myself as a project. Yeah, several times I see myself as a project, and as a project, I don't need to be stagnant. I need to move with time. I need to flow with time. So I knew that as a project, I need to constantly be at work in order to continue becoming a better person and also arrive at the end of finished product, which is becoming an aesthetic and fascinating being. The university taught me a lot of things actually. It taught me that I need to teach myself things. I shouldn't expect I should stop expecting too much from people. Rather, I should invest most of the things I have, most of my time. I should invest my time, my resources into myself, my life. This is what the university literally taught me without teaching me. Do you understand? So, but most students will actually miss out on this because lecturers wouldn't come to class to start teaching you these things. But these are the things that the university will teach you out of experience. I'm a very resilient and persistent person. I'm a complex soul who always love being in control of things and always love trying to identify and find out meaning about things and why things are going on in my life. But being at home has taught me to let go of things, let go of control, and stop resisting nature. Allowing nature to just deal with me the way it wants. And that lesson actually taught me something very, very important about life, which was taking risk. Those lessons gave birth to the new me, the new personality, and it gave birth to the new chapter of this story. How I started up a business, or how I invested into a startup, which eventually crashed. That was the biggest risk of my life so far this year. Yeah, it was the biggest risk of my life because I invested everything I have in me, everything I had in me, my resources, my money, everything. I invested it into this startup and it crashed. The dictionary defines risk as the probability of a negative outcome to a decision or event. Another definition has it as the magnitude of possible loss consequent to a decision or event. I used to watch the stories of young persons who started up businesses, who started up fintech startups, and it lasted. Before now, I used to always see these people as people that always have a straightforward path. I never thought that I would ever experience this crash in my startup. I invested into this startup with my whole body, my soul, my mind, thinking that it was something that would never crash or something that would never end. But all of a sudden, it turned out the opposite way. At the initial stage or the beginning phase of the investment or the startup, I was experiencing good results. I was having good results. Money was flowing in. I was making a lot of cash and I was making a lot of profits, even at that early stage of the business, early stage of the startup. There was a lot of money flowing in and I was making like too much, like vast. And the more I was making, the more I was reinvesting into the startup because I was willing to grow this startup into something huge, something big. So the profits I was deriving from the startup, even at the early stage of it, I was reinvesting it back into the business. And at some point, luckily for me, I got a client who was willing to invest into the startup. At this point, I felt like my dreams were coming to reality. And I was finally going to live the life I wanted for myself. After a few weeks of my clients investing into my tech startup, I started experiencing some bad losses in the business, and it was growing to the point that I even had to take money out of my own personal savings to invest into the business. So to invest into the startup. To cut the whole story short, the startup crashed. My money sank together with that of the investor or the client, and the situation was very bad. It felt like the whole world was crumbling on me at that point of my life because having to leave school without my decision, like leaving where I was staying, going back home to start up my life from nothing, eventually started up with something and was about getting to where I wanted for myself. Eventually something bad happened and I'm back to nothing, like a circle. It was a very terrible situation for me. It felt like the whole world was crumbling on me. My health was deteriorating. I was forcing myself to be strong. At that point, I was forcing myself to be strong. But then, the thing is, This is actually the first time I'm faced with a very bad and terrible situation in my life, and I'm putting on, or I'm trying to put on a smiling face. I'm usually this type of person that whenever something bad happens to me, I lock myself away from the world, I lock myself away from family, and I always get to sob and sob, stick myself into my tears. But this is the first time something terrible really happened to me, and I'm like strong, like really strong. Yeah, I know I feel sad. I feel sad about my startup crashing, but I don't feel sad about my own money on my startup. I feel sad about the client who invested his money into the business. So after some time, I had to send him a message to tell him that I'm sorry this has happened, and I understand your money is into this business. Please do give me some time to recoup and pay you back your invested capital or your investment. This is an assurance I'm giving you. I'm definitely going to pay you back your money, but just give me some time to raise the money. Now, I'm broke again with absolutely nothing except my dreams, which never dies. When your life seems to have crashed, there is always this non-fainting zeal that keeps it right up on its feet. Your dreams. So that is my story and life at the moment. I should be dropping the lessons I have derived so far from these experiences, which I believe would help anyone viewing or watching this video. Yeah, so one of the biggest lessons of letting go of things, stop being in control, and indirectly resisting things to happen in my life was taking risk, being a risk taker. Let me say at this point that the life you were seeking for is on the other side of fear. So if I had stopped loving my comfort zone earlier on before now, I would have become a better person. Yes. People that stand on their 10 toes to face fears are the people that actually turn out to become greater persons. Facing fears doesn't mean you have to go and look for trouble or allow trouble to come to you. Sometimes it can be failure. Failure can be a fear. After a while of spending my time at home, I realized that it's not bad to be called a failure. It's only bad when you allow it to become a lifestyle. A lot of great persons we know in life have failed at some point in life. That is a part of fear. That is a type of fear. And that is the type of fear I was running away from, the fear of failure. Being a graduate and broke is very bad. So this is a little piece of advice to the students, the ones who are still students. Please, while you are there, make other plans for yourself. While you are there, please try to make other plans. Create options. Try to create options for yourself. What if this doesn't work? What if that doesn't work? Those experiences, my business crashing and my startup crashing, it taught me several things. And the three things were patience, contentment, and myself for you. So, talking about patience, I realized that if I was patient enough to have, if I was patient enough with myself, if I was patient enough to have involved myself into making substantial amount of research into the business I was willing to go into, or the startup I wanted to invest into, I would have come out with a better result. If I was patient with the journey that God was putting me through, I would have come out with a better result. If I was patient with the flow and the occurrences, I realized that even though I was allowing myself to let go of a lot of things that were happening in my life, I was still unconsciously trying to grasp or trying to control some certain things. And that control, that little act of trying to control consciously or unconsciously things that were occurring in my life made me to actually move faster than I was supposed to. I was moving into the business. I know most times when we are faced with situations, turbulent situations and hard times, it is hard for us to actually get to sit, calm ourselves, calm our nerves, and think. Most times we are forced to make decisions out of impulse without reasoning or actually thinking what would this or what would happen if I take it this way or take it that way. We refuse to take divergent views about the consequences of our actions. So even though I was letting go, which was what being at home taught me, I was also trying to, in a bit, control things or grasp situations as they pass by. So that unconscious or subconscious act of me trying to control things made me to not be patient enough with myself, with the journey and with the process, thereby moving a little bit faster. To me, I was thinking it was slow, but it was a bit faster than time and my timing and my process. That is taking or investing into the startup. So what I'm trying to say is, if I was patient with myself, making a lot of researches, buying business books, magazines, buying books of management and how to invest into a startup successfully, I would have turned out to be a great person in my business. But I wasn't patient enough with myself. That was the truth. So most times we don't tend to be patient with ourselves and with the process and with the journey of becoming who we want to be. We just want to rush it. We may not recognize that we're actually rushing things, but the end result will tell us that if I had waited a little while, this result could have turned out to be great. So if I had waited into visiting other persons who have made who are successful, learning from their success stories, patient with myself, patient with my journey, I could have turned out to be a better person in my business. Now, quickly, the second one, or the second lesson, contentment. Contentment is a very big virtue. I have learned this biggest way in my life. I mean, losing everything I have on me, the little I have, which was very big to me and very dear to me, has taught me that I literally need to be content with myself, contented with the things I have. If I was satisfied with the little things I have on me, then it would have inspired me into becoming a better person. It would have inspired me into appreciating that, okay, I need to cherish this little thing. If I had appreciated, if I had thrown so much affection or affinity into the little money I have, I would have actually, it would have inspired me into making a wiser decision than I made. I actually thought that the first decision was wise, but now I realize that it was a deadly end. We need to appreciate the little things we have in order for us to manage properly the bigger things that will come at the later end. If I had appreciated my home much, it could be your family, it could be your friends, it could be your money, it could be your resources, it could be yourself. Just being satisfied with the little thing you have will inspire you into appreciating the bigger things that will come, and as well turning into a good manager, helping you to learn managerial skills that will improve you into becoming a better person. The truth is, contentment is a virtue, and we really need to learn this. I've learned it the hard way, and I just pray you don't have to learn yours the hard way. Now, to the last part of the lesson, this is something that I actually never thought would be a lesson to me. But yeah, honestly, this should actually be the first or the number one on the list of the lessons. But I choose to make it the last so that you will appreciate it the more, which is you, yourself, myself. We don't tend to appreciate ourselves a lot. Yeah, we might be faced with some situations that will push us off balance to make us not to appreciate ourselves. Most times it's important for us to just let go, rest, let God just do the work and appreciate ourselves. By so doing, we are appreciating ourselves, not just ourselves, we're appreciating the people around us, we're appreciating our journey, we're appreciating God. But there are different ways of appreciating oneself. You can appreciate yourself by just sitting and reminiscing about the things you have actually conquered all alone. I failed to recognize the fact that I have actually come a long way. In recognizing that should have helped me to understand that better things are ahead and better days are ahead. When we fail to recognize or appreciate the little things or the little achievements that we have made in life, we get blindfolded about getting hold of the present, even while they are present with us, thereby even missing out the bigger things that might happen to us in the future. You can take my story as an example. If I had appreciated myself the more, I would have cherished the moment and enjoyed the moment where I wasn't there while making out other plans so I can become better. Well, the overall lesson of the story is when we learn to be patient with ourselves and contented with the resources we are in one way or the other appreciating ourselves. Alright guys, thank you so much for being a part of this journey. I really appreciate. Please do like the video, subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you can get more of the valuable content. Thank you.